stopped again.
Okay. I just have to keep doing that.
Yeah, which is a shame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this Town Council Planning Working Party. And I will start with agenda item 1, which is to welcome, to note that this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and to the chair. Okay. Item 2, apologies for absence, please, Vicky.
None received.
Thank you. Declarations of interest and requests for dispensations, anyone? No? Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meetings or meeting, which is to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of December 2022. Vicky, could you get them up, please? I think I'll go through them first and then ask for a vote for me to sign them. Okay. 390, 391, please. Well, hold on, Vicky. Should we do them? There's 2 for the clerk there. Should we do them under matters arising? Okay, 392. Any comments at all? No. 393. No. 394. No. 395. Is that the finish, Vicky? Yeah. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. If you can take them down there, please. Can I ask for a show of hands that these are I sign them as a true record? Can I have the proposer and the seconder, please? I saw Dave Smith propose and Councillor Brown second. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you. That's everyone can vote, of course. Right, matters arising. Vicky, can you put them up again, please? In those minutes. I think we got 2 items for which is the is it P21? Because I can't see it, I must admit. Suggest that this was considered a better option, the clerk to remind the officer that he has commented on disabled spaces as well as proposed Councillor Lou Greeny and seconded by Liz Smith. Is there anything out of that, Vicky, on that? Because it's got your name on it.
Yes, I contacted them and they agreed the change of cladding. And I think John Burns sent an email round about the disabled spaces, which was copied to me. I forwarded it on to everyone, and then John replied back.
Okay. Any comment on that, Councillor Burns, at all?
No, the application's been approved anyway at Development Control, so it's historical now.
Okay. Right, P22-212. I think this is a DC 22-0368 OUT. I think this is notice of appeal prior to the meeting. Can you move it up a little bit, please, Vicky? That's it. Thank you. The clerk had circulated the notice of appeal. It was agreed that the objection remained the same, with addition that we reinforce the planning officer's decision to refuse permission on impact of character and impact of heritage asset. Is this the one that about what we just recently received? Yesterday, was it?
I think, was that the Clements Lane one?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah. Yeah, people are nodding. So, okay. Yeah. Thank you. I think that was
That's
it.
all done and dealt with. Yeah.
Is there any comments on that at all? No. Okay. Vicky, can you take it down again, please? Thank you. Okay. Any members of the public at all? No, I don't think there is.
No.
No.
None
Thank
at
you.
all.
Colin. Thank you. To consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. Item number 8, which is approved, list A, approved by the chairman, which we haven't had any, and list B, which is attached to the agenda. And this is application 1. Does the working party have any objections for us to do the first two, application 1 and 2 together? No objection? No? Okay. Right. This is DC 22-22 FUL, small a. Which is change of use of bookmakers, sui generis, to restaurant class E and hot food takeaway. Small b, installation of ventilation system and minor alterations to existing shop front. And this is from Mr. Adam Robinson from the T Bellow Group. And this is number 47 High Street. And also application 2, which is DC 22-223 ADV, small a, 1 internally illuminated fascia sign, small b, 1 internally illuminated projecting sign. And this is the same person, Mr. Adam Robinson, and this is same company, which is T Bellow Group, and this is 47 High Street as well. Okay, is there any comments at all on this one from the working party? Councillor Burns?
Well, this is William Hill's ex-property. It's great that after all these years, I don't know how many years it's been empty for, that we're going to get something coming back in. Okay, you could argue that it's a shame that it's another food establishment. But at least it's a restaurant as well, you know, a 30-seat restaurant. So I think that's quite brilliant. And having, in my prior life, used Taco Bell quite a lot in America, I think it's quite a nice add-in, and especially as, you know, Bury doesn't have one, Newmarket doesn't have one. So I think it's quite good, and it will also help that nighttime economy we keep going on about. I think the officers' comments generally are okay so far about waste and that sort of stuff. I personally don't agree with the limit on the opening hours. There are no flats above or opposite or anything like that. Unlike some other places in town, which we've given, or licensing have given permission to. So I, having to shut it at 11 o'clock at night is very restrictive when you've got people like Papillon Pizza and all those places opening till 1 o'clock in the morning. We're talking about a restaurant in here and hopefully, run well. So, I've looked at it. It looks fine. There's nothing upstairs. They've got offices upstairs for their own business. The only thing would be what's been mentioned about making sure that, litter is picked up and everything else like that. It's interesting, the comments from Highways about a sign overlapping the highway, considering that virtually every other business in the high street has just put them up without bothering to ask for that. So it's an interesting one. But personally, I think it's a good one. It hopefully bring people into the high street at night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I fully agree with what you said. Councillor Liz Smith.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great. It would be great for the nighttime economy. The response from on social media is good. People seem to like the idea of this type of establishment. It's a well-known brand, so hopefully it will bring people in. As you say, it's the only Taco Bell around these ways, so it may be, may bring people in. But I think it will be quite popular. So I've got no objection at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I would agree with John and Liz. I think it's something that we should support. Really, it's totally different type of food offer that we've already got in the high street. It fills up a shop that's been empty for a long time. It's something that with the present economic climate, we should be thankful for, really. So I fully support this. I'd like to echo what John said as well. I thought it was a bit strange, the 11 o'clock shutting time. I think it should be at least midnight. As John said, there's no one living over it. When people walking up the high street at that time, it'd be nice for them to be able to get something like that. So I don't know if we could ask the planners to extend the opening time to 12 or something like that. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, I think it's waste management that said about the tidying up of the area. In other words, keeping it tidy. And I think we should note that. And also the size of the bins. I think waste management said that they're not big enough. So I think we should sort of just note and put that in the comments about waste management's comments. I don't know if anyone's got any objection to that, to us putting them comments in. No? Okay. So I presume it's going to be neutral then, with them comments, yeah? Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? That's Councillor Brown, and seconder?
Yeah.
Proposer?
Yeah. Have we got the comments in around the extended opening times? Have we? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I could suggest that if we're supporting it, we actually make it supporting with comments rather than neutral with comments. Tony's nodding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah. Is it putting your hands up to comment, or you're putting your hands up to second or propose and second that, whatever?
I'm seconding Councillor Simpson. Yeah.
You're putting your hands up for comment. So Councillor
I was just going to comment, yeah.
Dave Smith first, and then Councillor Rucrini.
I think it should be neutral myself. It's nice to have, but I don't think it's really something that we should support as a town council. You know, to me, support it means you're 100% behind it or whatever. But neutral is to me with their comments is adequate.
Okay, Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Just a reminder that, you know, McDonald's, Papa John's, Stella's, we were neutral on. We never supported any of them, so we just probably got to be careful.
Okay, Councillor Brown, do you agree with that, or are you still?
To be fair, I'd like to have supported all those businesses, but yeah, I'm happy to go with the flow and go for a neutral if my other fellow colleagues are leaning that way.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Right, should we start again then on propose and second for that neutral, please, with them comments, please. Right, it's Councillor Brown proposed, Councillor Stitchcombe second. Okay, all those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's carried. Thank you very much. Item 3, application DC 22-2143 FUL, 8 residential units, and this is Mr. Farwad Rahimi, and please forgive me if I've said that wrong. Land at Empire Yard, Brook Service Road. Any comments, Councillor Liz Smith? And then Councillor O'Kinney?
Yeah, I looked at this earlier. Obviously, I was looking at it online. So it's very difficult to see the scale of the rooms because it's got a scale written on there, but obviously that is only relevant if you print it off in the right, you know, size, etc. So you can look at the scale. So couldn't really work out how big the rooms were, although I think it gave you a pretty good idea that they're quite condensed. Should I say the word? I'm probably saying the wrong word. But yeah, they look very small places. I think it's overdevelopment of the site because of the height of the building in comparison to the other buildings around, although I think Barclays is probably quite tall, probably about the same height. But yeah, and it's going to be over the alleyway as well, so it's going over the alleyway, and I think it's just over development for that area, which is only a quite small, you know, back of the shops, isn't it? Back of the shops in High Street. So and it'd be overlooking the service road, Brook Service Road. They said they're going to have balconies and things like that, but who wants a balcony looking over a service road and a car park? But yeah, it's not really, I don't think they're going to be that fantastic, to be honest, from the looks of things. So that's my general feeling. Thank you.
Councillor Crooney and then Councillor Stinchcombe.
Yeah, I agree with this. I think it's overdevelopment of the area. I don't think the new design is sympathetic towards Barclays Bank, which is grade 2 listed. Bizarrely, they put all the pictures up of the old planning application, which fitted in with the area a lot better. It's a bit sad, unlike the previous application, that there's no shop units anymore. It's now just all flats, and obviously no car parking. And the car park opposite is a short stay car park. So where are people going to park? Quite a long distance from their houses, or I suppose on the double yellows.
Thank you. Councillor Stitchcombe and then Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking, yeah, the lack of parking is the gravest single objection, really. I'm not too fussed about the appearance of it because I'm actually feeling quite positive about it. It's the back end of a listed building. It's not like it's alongside the frontage of a listed building. I don't know how much you can really see of the back end of Barclays, of the listed bit of Barclays. There's modern offices, I think, tacked on the back as well, but the listed bit you can't really see from the car park. And if I can just share my screen one moment, which could be a bit challenging. I quite like the fact that unlike some of the similar sort of developments we've got around town, they're actually set back from the pavement. Here we go. Let's see if I can share ag. Yeah, here we go. Let's try that. Is that popped up on anyone's screen?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
good.
it's there. Mine.
Okay, So, I mean, I've taken screenshots of bits of 2 different documents, I think, or maybe that was the different views of the same document, to show there's a sort of elevation seen from the southeast, and then we've got the sort of 3D representation of that, which doesn't quite match the window layout. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, you can see one way or another, you can see that the ground floor has little garden walls and entrances, which means, you know, their windows are not kind of right on the street. They can open their window and not have immediately someone slide litter in through the window or something like that. I thought that was, I mean, that's obviously reducing their internal floor area as well. And I'm afraid I didn't have time to do my usual trick of trying to take scale measurements off my screen and then try and work out what the you know, the appropriate scale is for the floor areas and stuff like that. I could do that another time.
On one document, it tells you the actual sizes of them.
Oh, okay. And did you get any further with that?
Yes, I've noted them. And I'll do that when I have my turn to speak at the end. Okay,
lovely. Or I'll shut up about that. So I'm sort of thinking. Oh, also the issue is that in 2014 we were very, very keen. The council as a whole, some of whom are still members, you know, were very supportive of the old application. That might have been slightly superior in some respects, but you know, there's no great call for shops at the moment, unfortunately, and I think it's a mess round the back. I mean, I remember Councillor Byrne at the time saying it's all a mess round the back there, and it's not actually a right of way through there. So Councillor Liz Smith's point about it flying over the right of, so not right away, it flies over what is a permissive path up the back there. I mean, that is, they've made a point of saying they're going to maintain that, so it will become over time a right of way if it isn't actually so at the moment. So I think I'm fairly positive about it, except for where's the parking, you know, because you're not going to tell me that none of those residents will want to have a car. Thank you.
Can you take the picture down, please, Councillor Titchcombe? Thank you. Councillor Burns?
Okay. There is a history to this site. I'm fully aware of it. I was heavily involved in the previous application, which was basically, as been said, 3 starter shops. They're not full-blown shops, they were very small shops, and there is and was a terrific demand for those startup businesses. You know, we might call them pop-up shops and everything else. So it's a shame that's been lost. There is a right-of-way through that site. The Bootsy Opticians, the landlord owns the land behind this site, but in fact their red line has included the land that is owned by Bootsy Optician, and the officer is currently investigating that. The previous applicant took 14 years to get planning permission because it went through over 9 planning officers, and originally he was going for 6 flats with the shops, and that was constantly rejected because, as Councillor Greeley says, Barclays is grade 2 listed, which also includes the bit to the rear of it. That is all listed because it's attached to the main building. It overmasses this particular design, overmasses Barclays tremendously. You cannot have a building that is causing that sort of problem. And I would say I have understood that this is not what was discussed at pre-app with the planning officer. There is some dispute about the land, I say. Barclays have a right to park their vehicles on the concreted bit behind their shop. I'm not aware that this owner has bought that land. It's massively overdevelopment at the moment, as far as I can see. The room sizes, as the chair has mentioned, is listed on the design and access statement. They just about meet minimum space requirements. Obviously no parking. On the previous application, County Highways were moaning like mad about the lack of parking. And I pointed out to them the only thing that we didn't have within 20 yards of the place was a railway station and an airport, which they eventually agreed. But of course, at that point, the car park, Jubilee Walk, was a long stay car park. It wasn't a short stay, as has been pointed out. It would be interesting to hear what the conservation officer says about this before, because if you look at the previous application and the conservation officer's comments about the roof and fenestration and God knows what else, it'll be interesting to see. The other thing is just worth noting is that when the previous applicant got planning permission, he was asked by the then St Edmundsbury to not do anything for over 2 years whilst the master plan was being fumbled about with. When eventually they got off their backsides and said, oh, no, we've now bought HSBC, we don't need that, it was far too late to develop the application, which would have been brilliant to have those little 3 shops there. It's also worthwhile pointing out that this development is just going to massively overlook or overbear on what is Little Diva's shop there on Empire Yard. So it would be interesting to see. But I think, I've already had conversations with the planning officer about this. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair, do you mind making a quick observation, please?
Yes, please, Colin. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice your hand. Sorry.
All right. As Councillor Stinchcombe mentioned, there was a previous application, as Councillor Burns has also just been describing. Although one included shops and one didn't, I think the footprint and the size of the development are not dissimilar. And it has been mentioned that we did not object. In fact, I think we supported the previous application. So we do need to be slightly careful that we don't object to things that were there in the first development. This site has had several applications over the years, dating back nearly 40 years, with a reasonable track record of approvals, but not actually being built out. So the principle of development is certainly well established. So I think certainly some of the issues around parking, etc., would need to be resolved. But I think we just need to be slightly careful when I was looking today at the previous application that was approved in 2016, in the end, it was 2014 when it was put in. And I think Councillor Lucarini commented that actually there's some big similarities in terms of what this applicant is doing compared to what was perfectly acceptable to the town council before. So we just need to be slightly careful we don't be seen to backtrack over what we said earlier. If there's different things, that's one thing, but I think we just have to be a little bit careful as a council.
I see other hands coming up. Thank you, Colin, for that. Councillor Dave Smith and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, take on board what Colin's saying, but we have to treat each application with merits, and that was a different time, if you like. You're talking about 6-7 years or more ago. We're a different group of people. We might have different ideas. Yeah, I understand they decided something as a town council previously, but we are to some extent a different council, as it were. We may have different ideas. Yet the footprint may be similar, but I'm sure it wasn't as high as this surely previously. And I think it's just there's nothing else along that road to compare with it. It's just stick out like a sore thumb, and that's my main objection. I think anyway.
Vicky, would it be possible to bring up the previous application? Because I think you'll find that it was a 3-storey building with a pitched roof on top, whereas this is a 3-storey building with the pitched roof becoming a loft. So I think in terms of height, they'll be pretty well identical. And I might say that the chair is identical as well to this committee as back in 2016, and a number of other members here were present at that meeting.
Vicky, you going to bring that up?
Give me a minute to find it.
And then I'll go to Councillor Brown. Unless you want to, Councillor Brown, do you want to speak first, and then while Vicky finds out for us?
Yeah, okay. I think if I remember the previous application, the thing that really sold it to us was the shops underneath. That was one of the big deciding factors, if I remember correctly. And I've got no real issue with the size of it, other than the projection pictures that they've put on there, the images. The one that they've taken from Brook Service Road, they've the actual building they've lowered so that it's in line with the top of Barclays Bank. Or actually, if you stood where they're saying you stood, it would be a lot higher, because the way that you see it. They seem to have pulled the image down, if you see what I mean. But I've got no real issue other than to make sure that the actual bedroom sizes are within limits, minimum space standards, because all they put on the drawing when I looked earlier was the size of the actual flats, like 40 cubic meters, 50 cubic meters, but it didn't actually, you couldn't really tell, the bedroom size. So I'd like that to be clarified.
Yeah, right. Now, this is my side of it. I used to call them masonettes, but they're two-storey flats. That's what they are. In other words, you've got the bedroom upstairs and the living room downstairs, sort of thing. So if you look at minimum size standard, it's called a two-storey dwelling. And for Unit 5 and Unit 7, for Unit 5 is two-storey dwelling for 2 persons. That's important. Flat is, it's 18 square meters below minimum size standard. And Unit 7, two-storey dwelling, the same. And this is for 6 persons, which is very important. And this flat is 12 square meters below minimum size standard. The others are fine. The others are okay. But that's what you've got to bear in mind. It's 2 stories. In other words, the kitchen and living room might be the size, but which we can't tell because we can't measure the bedrooms. But the bedrooms might be very, very tiny. And that's my concern. That's my main objection to this, is these two units below minimum size standard. Thank you, Vicky. Have you got that, what Colin asked for?
I think I have.
I'll come back to Councillor Burns.
Can you see it?
Yes, if we go like that.
Hang on a
If you
sec.
turn it around, turn it around.
Let me sort it out. Sorry, just bear with me.
Can I interrupt? I've got all the documents because I was involved at the time. If you want to see them.
Well, I found this one, but let me see.
Normally there's a thing that you can orientate it. Oh, there you go. That's it. Yeah, that's what's different. These are two or what masonettes, as I used to call them, compared with the others were just single floor flats sort of thing. 3 stories, whatever it was. Oh no, the ground floor wasn't. The ground floor was shops, wasn't they?
Uh-huh.
And then you had flats on the first floor and second floor. Okay. Right, can you take it down? Is everyone satisfied with that? Yeah. Councillor Byrne, do you want to talk?
Yeah, I was going to show you the street scene from the previous application. The previous application was actually for 4 flats as well, so it's substantially half thing, and it wasn't nowhere near as tall as this one is. They've added another story onto it for some reason, and also, as I said earlier on, they're showing gardens at the back, but that's the land that's owned by Bootsy Opticians landlord. Now, there's nothing to stop someone putting planning application, of course, for anything you like. But they apparently have told the planning officer that they own all this land. They only bought Empire Yard last year. I don't know if you're interested in looking at the old street scene. It's up to you.
Please, John, if you can.
I can show you it. Share screen, let me find it. Which one is it? Is it for the Mendes Street plan? It is, I think it's this one. Can you see that?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor
So
Brown.
over there is the view from Barclays from the High Street. Well, this is the old one. And then obviously this was from Jubilee Walk car park.
Is there 3 shops there I can see?
There were 3 shops. There were, as I said, they were very small shops, very starter shops. And the entrance into Empire Yard itself was actually an agreement with the then owner, because from 2007, when they redid the car park, that the natural walkway from the bus station to the high street was through there, and that was a voluntary agreement. But it's been open now for so long that it actually is now is probably a substantial right of way. And for vehicles as well. It's not just pedestrians. That's a covenant on the land.
Okay, Councillor
Okay,
Dason.
all right, I'll stop that for you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
It looks like there, but one of the main differences is the frontage of that. The previous application is towards the alley and the high street, whereas these flats, it's fronting onto Brook Road, isn't it? Did I pick that up right? No,
No.
Because that's the way it looked down that alleyway. Shot we had of from looking from Barclays down the alley. It looked like the shop units were facing towards the high street. No,
No, they face Brook Service Road.
oh, no, okay,
Yeah.
Okay, Colin, do you want to come back on that? On showing sort of.
Well, it was just to make the point that actually, I mean, we talked about the size of development, but I think councillors have actually picked up on other issues, regardless of whether the thing is the same size or more or less the same size as the previous application. But certainly in terms of if it's below minimum sizes for 2-storey dwellings, and that's something to pick up. Parking is clearly a challenge. Councillor Burns is quite right, of course, is that if people want to put a planning application in for somebody else's garden, then that's up to them. But of course, it's the planning application goes with the land, so it's to the benefit of the property owner, not the applicant. So that's neither here nor there. But there's a few things that it sounds like the applicant needs to improve on. But I think I was just keen that we didn't criticise things that are actually the same or more or less the same, comparable to what we'd previously not objected to. But it sounds like there's plenty of meat to get onto anyway.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, Vicky, have you noted what we see? I'm suggesting we object on the grounds of the Unit 7 and Unit 5 below minimum size standard for a 2-storey flat, and obviously the parking issue as well. Is there any other things Councillor Lucrini?
Well, we were saying it was overdevelopment of the area. Obviously, the number of flats has doubled.
Thank you.
I don't know whether others agreed or not, but personally, I'm still not happy with the roof going to like metal sheeting rather than the tiles we previously had. Because obviously, when you look down the alleyway, it's still not in keeping with Barclays and the opticians next door. Very
good point, actually. You noted that, Vicky?
No, I didn't hear that. The roof is what? Sorry.
The roof is like metal sheeting, which is out of keeping with Barclays Bank, which is a slate roof. Barclays being a Grade 2 listed building.
Yep, Councillor Brown, you wanted to something else I forgot to add?
I don't know if we can make this point or not. To say that we welcomed the other planning permit, the other application, the previous application, because it contained 3 starter shops. Obviously, I don't know if we can mention that or not. I don't know if it's something we can do or not. Or we're disappointed to see that there's no starter shops in this application as was in the previous application.
That's a better point. Yeah.
Could you say that again, please, Tony? That phrase.
Yeah, we're disappointed to see that this application does not contain the 3 starter shops that the previous application had.
Right, Councillor Dave Smith.
Would they just argue that the 3 units are not needed because we've got so many empty units in the high street?
But what I would say is they're small starter shops, very small shops for people to start business in. They're not the larger type shops that are empty.
Okay.
Good point. Yep.
Is that a planning material planning thing? Can we say that?
Colin, can I have advice, please?
Yeah, you can. And obviously, it's in a retail shopping area. It's in the high street. I think the master plan talks about in terms of supporting the vitality of the high street, and effectively, what I think Councillor Brown is saying is that the previous application was offering something that wasn't available, and I think we've all had discussions about subdividing the units that are in the high street at the moment. So, yeah, this isn't providing those small starter units. So I think it's entirely legitimate to say it. Whether they'll take any notice is a different matter. And of course, the developer's going to argue differently, but that's the whole point.
Thank you, Colin, for that. Councillor Dave Smith, did you put your hand up? No? Oh, sorry. Councillor Greeny first, and then Councillor Burns.
Just on the back of Colin, obviously, the starter shops is definitely the key word that has to be included. I know we have lots of empty shops in the high street, but all the shops that are empty are those that have high rents, whereas all our small, affordable units are currently filled.
Another good point. Can you put that down, Vicky, please? I think we should add to that to prove our point. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, just as a little background, one of the tenants was going to be Divas if that had been built, because it was, it's not a great big, wasn't a great bigger, much bigger than her existing shop. But I was wondering whether you wanted to consider adding something about construction. Having been involved in this before, that was always going to be a massive problem because there'll be virtually no space for construction materials, traffic, everything else to build on this site. So that I think it could be, it's a planning issue. I would recommend that you suggest they should have a construction management plan as well. They will often not do it because it's less than 10 units, but I think it needs in this particular case because of constraints of the site. I mean, I know what's underneath that land as well.
As Councillor Burns is not on the committee, is everyone sort of in agreement with what you just said? Is there any objections to what you just said? No? Right. Councillor Creaney?
Yeah, no objections. So just on the back of that, though, obviously there are flats behind as well. So construction management plan is important for the timings of when people can actually carry this work out.
Okay. Right, then. Have you got all that, Vicky? Yeah? Right, thank you very much. Right, can I have a proposer for objection on the grounds that Vicky's just said? Councillor Greeny? Can I have a seconder? Councillor Liz Smith? All those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's everyone. Thank you. Application 4, which is DC 230023 FUL. Canopy with PV array to southwest elevation, and this is Mr. Michael Sale, who's the architectural. I said that right. Surveyors Limited, and this is Geordie, which is Falconer Sizes. Any comments on this one at all? This is solar panels, in other words. No? Okay, can I have a proposal for neutral, please? Councillor Dave Smith. Can I have a seconder, which is Councillor Stitchcombe? All those in favour, please show. Yes, thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. Application 5, which is DC 230019HH, single storey rear extension. And this is Mr. Chris Thompson of 28 Beach Grove. Is there any comments on this one? Councillor Dave Smith?
No, I'd already commented on the site. I've got no comment, basically, so I'd proposed neutral.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that, neutral? I just saw Councillor Davison put his hand up first. Okay, all those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's carried. Okay, back to the agenda now. Please bear with me. And this is item 9, matters to report, to enable members to exchange any urgent planning matters. I've got one. I had a meeting today with Peter Betts, who's the person associated with the Croft, who attended our meeting, full council meeting. He wants to sort of try and get all parties together to try and solve the parking problem in that area. And I've agreed to sort of get in touch with the officers, and really I've got to ask the two councillors who's involved, other councillors involved in Haverhill East as well, and ask them if they'd like to attend and try and get something resolved. I think Councillor Brown and Councillor Burns has been pushing this for quite some time. They've tried all different ways of doing it, and we're hopefully, as I said at the meeting, hopefully trying to get something that they've got up on the Hatchet Village, as they call it, where the travellers used to go, and they put fencing up there, which is not very high, but it stopped them. And hopefully we're trying to look for funding from somewhere to try and put fencing around that area, and also in a little area which is on the new replaced roundabout next to the school. There's a grassed area there, which is actually on the Chalkston estate, where cars park as well, and looking for fencing to go around that part as well, but obviously leave a small space for grass cutters to get onto it. That's it really. And I'll be in touch with councillors involved. Okay. Is there any, Councillor Burns?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Yeah, you're right. 6-7 years we've been doing this. They've had every opportunity to resolve this over 6 or 7 years. We offered barriers and everything else years ago. Highways rejected it. On one ground was cost, if I remember rightly, and I'm looking at Councillor Brown here, and I can't remember what the other one was. We offered them land, which they didn't bother taking up. Several times we've contacted them and said, look, you've got this offer, what are you doing about it? But I think one of the things that I'm concerned about is they're saying, oh, we've got the overflow at Samuel Ward, but they've always had the overflow at Samuel Ward. All that's happened is it's formalised many times on a week, Saturday morning particularly, is that the Samuel Ward car park is already full, and that's why they end up parking on the grass verges. And also the residents opposite, are getting pretty frustrated with it as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they're going to come up with. But fine, you could barrier off that thing, but people have still got to park somewhere. because that's what happens. People come in from far and wide. They don't come by buses or anything like that. Quite a lot of the young kids particularly walk. Some get dropped off, of course, but it's extremely frustrating having provided all the opportunities we've ever had just to be totally ignored, and now coming along now and saying, oh, well, you know, we can resolve it by doing this. They need a hell of a lot more parking spaces there. You know, and also you've got to remember that Westfield has an agreement with them to allow their people to drop off in the mornings. What's happened since then, they've against the lease, illegally against the lease, if you like, have rented out parts of their property to other places. That's not on it specifically says it cannot be sublet unless they get permission. So all those people generate traffic. And I think this is, you know, it's going to be interesting if they can come up with an idea, but they need to also make sure they follow it through. Not, you know, because say Tony, myself, Damien Parker, we spent an enormous amount of time and effort sorting out meetings, God knows what else, and nothing ever happened. If I may, Chair, just to from a sort of matters to report side of things, we're still waiting to hear about Lidl's and their footpath. They said they were going to do things. I went down there a week or so ago. There was nothing done as far as I can see, anyway. And we obviously don't have any answers to Sturmer Arches or any of the other things that have West Suffolk have been sat on for the last 2 or 3 years without doing anything. So I constantly chase them, constantly don't get any answers from anyone. I'm hoping when Mr. Gallin turns up beginning of next month that he will come with some answers. But one thing, for those members who will be attending that meeting, and I know it's about specific things, is he did say to me before Christmas, but if any member's got any thing they want to discuss either before or after that meeting, whether it's planning related or Sturm Arches, to make sure they email him as well. So if you've got anything that's not being done, enforcement or anything like that, let's get it on the table. We have got elections coming up in May, and who knows whether any of us will be out here afterwards. And otherwise, it might be a case of doing a few more freedom of information requests to them. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, just quickly going back to the New Croft. This will be a great thing for the town that they're planning. So hopefully we can all get together and there'll be a compromise and we can, absolutely get 100% behind this, because it will be a great thing. It's just this park and we just need to sort it out. And it sounds very much like, the people at the New Croft, they're absolutely willing to, do all they can to, sort it out. So hopefully working with us, West Suffolk, we can do and get this great facility done for the town. So, so it'd be good.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Brown. Yeah, on that particular thing, it's all about money by the sound of it, because Peter Betts was saying about the finance for it, and that's the thing. If we can really all club together and try and find the money, all of us, including them, from the FA or what have you, we need that to be fixed, obviously, and we all need to get our heads together and to do this sort of thing. Thank you. Councillor Smith, Dave Smith.
Yeah, just quick thing. I won't go into too many details, but I had contact by somebody who's interested in taking over the Clarkin site in Hollands Road, which is owned by West Suffolk Council. But as I say, I won't go into too many details, but it's apparently it's going to take so much to bring it back to a marketable state that they won't be able to sort of let it out until later in the new year. So I don't know what Clarkins have done on that site to make it so bad. But anyway, yeah, it's a business that's on the industrial estate that wants to move there.
I can probably tell you what they did if you want me to.
Yes, please.
They obviously knocked 3/4 of the buildings down. We still don't know what happened to the asbestos that was sat there. We think it's underneath all that concrete. They never conformed to the planning application, particularly in terms of parking layout, EV charging points and everything else. Obviously, they defaulted on their rent to West Suffolk. And they also sublet again all those offices to other entities without any permission. So it's not, you know, there's a great big parking area there now, but not a lot in the way of office space. But having said that, because my own business was interested in taking some of it over with another business who in the similar sort of field, it would have cost £2 million to bring it back up to standards anyway. And West Suffolk at the time wanted us to pay that, and we said no. But I've been going on to property for ages about why you know, rent it out to something or do something with it. But it's nice that somebody has come to you, Councillor Smith. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any more matters to report? No? Thank you. Item 10, which is date of next meeting, and that's the 31st of January. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. Which was a pretty intense meeting.